Good morning and welcome to our webinar today. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes to get our guests all signed in to the webinar, and then we will get started. But welcome to the webinar and thank you for joining us. Okay, we're going to get rolling here. This event is also being recorded, so if you want to tune in or check anything back afterwards, you'll be able to check that later on our website. So there will be a link available afterwards. So thank you for joining us today for our Making the Most Out of an Entry-Level Position webinar. My name is Katie Hunter, and I work for agcareers.com, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar event. Today, our goal is to give you insight into different opportunities that you can gain from your entry-level position in the ag and food sector. We have two presenters joining us today, and they will share their knowledge and their insight with you. Our first presenter today is Barry Hanna. He's joining us from GROWMARK, Inc. He is the Ontario Human Resource Manager and responsible for providing HR expertise in the areas of government regulatory issues, employee standards, compensation and benefits, performance appraisals, and recruitment for approximately 200 GROWMARK employees and for 15 Ontario FS member cooperatives. Barry also manages the GROWMARK Summer Internship Program for the province. Barry is going to share his knowledge about the ag industry in Ontario and tell you more about making the most out of an entry-level position. Our second presenter today will be Nicole Fippard from Nutrien. Nicole is the Emerging Talent Manager at Nutrien. Nicole has been part of the Canadian Nutrien team since January 2020. She started as a recruiter for corporate and retail before moving into her current position. Prior to working for Nutrien, Nicole was a member of the Royal Canadian Navy from 2000 to 2020. Nicole is passionate about their Emerging Talent Program at Nutrien and how it can help new employees to find the right fit within their organization. Nicole is going to speak about making the most out of an entry-level position and about crafting a resume that helps you stand out within the applicant pool. The other thing that I want to draw your attention to before we break into our webinar topics today is our upcoming events. So we also have events coming up as part of our Feed Your Future program that are our virtual career fair events. So these events are coming up over the next 3 weeks. We have August 18th, one for Northern, Central, and Eastern Ontario. On August 25th, there's one for Western Ontario. And on September 9th, there's an event for all of Ontario. These are great opportunities for you to connect with employers that might be interested in hiring you, seeing your resume, and networking with you through our virtual career fair platform. Also, as part of our Feed Your Future program, we have a series of upcoming webinars. There's 2 more events coming up. So the next one is on next Tuesday, the 17th. That event is about navigating a virtual career fair. So if you plan to attend a virtual career fair and haven't done that yet, this is a great way to get some tips and insight into how to best navigate that career fair and connect and network with employers efficiently. We also have another event that will be coming up in October, on October 6th, and that one is about finding your fit in agriculture and looking at the opportunities within the ag industry. Another thing that I want to mention before we get started with our guest speakers today is that we would like to thank our funding sponsors for these events. So our events are partnered with agcareers.com, careersinfood.com, and the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. These events also are sponsored by CADAP Funding, the Canadian Agricultural Partnership. So thank you for participating in our events today. We hope to see you at more of our virtual Feed Your Future events in the future. And I am going to pass the screen over to our first presenter, Barry Hanna. One other thing to mention, if you do have questions today, we will have an opportunity for questions at the end. Please send an email to us at feedyourfuture@agcareers.com, or you can type in the chat box as well, and we will respond to your questions that way. And we'll do that at the end. So please let us know if the question is for one presenter or both. I'll pass it over to you, Barry.
Thanks, Katie. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Katie introduced me. I've been with GROWMARK, the GROWMARK system, for 31 years. I've had, strangely enough, 2 jobs in my life, but a lot of different responsibilities. When I say 2 jobs, that means 2 different organizations. So what I'd like to do this afternoon is talk a little bit about some of the do's and don'ts of getting into the job, whether it's agriculture or not. I'll put an agricultural spin on it, but these, you can apply anywhere. And Nicole, you know what it's like when you're applying for a job. Doesn't matter what you're applying for, the same rules kind of apply. So with that, I'll get started in what I think you can do when you start a career, especially in agriculture, because it is rather unique, but in a lot of areas it's pretty basic, pretty standard. So something I just wanted to, and this was an epiphany I had a couple of days ago after talking to Katie. We all remember our first date. Now, Nicole may talk about your interview. That's almost like your first date, whether you get the job or not. But in all fairness, your first day will always stick out. And, having only 3 different companies I've worked for in my lifetime, I know I can remember those days very specifically. And whether or not they went well or whether they went poorly is entirely up to yourself based on some of the things you can do prior to that or during that particular day. The one thing I do like to mention, and just a bit of back of history, I spent 16 years in career development with the organization doing face-to-face presentations. So some of this stuff I will impart based on my experiences through the years. But basically, and I've said this to many employees, you can't change your first impression. You can change how people think about you now, but give you an example. When you meet somebody and they're either very nice, very friendly, or a bit of a, not the person I want to spend some time with, even if they get to know you after a while. I had a neighbor across the road that's moved away for many years now. First time I met him, I thought, you know what, I don't want to spend any time with this guy because he's just a jerk. That was my first impression. We become very, very close friends. And I always told him, and whenever I met some of his family and friends, that the first time I met Paul, I thought he was the biggest jerk in the world. You can't change that. So be very cautious and be very cognizant of the fact that first impression is going to stick with people forever. It may not change the way they think about you once they get to know you, but it may make it a little more difficult right out of the gate. So some of the things when it's a whole new world when you're getting a job, and whether or not you're changing jobs, it doesn't matter. It's a different experience when you get into it, because you don't know as much about the organization until you get inside it. And from a recruiting perspective, I recruit a lot of people. I can give them the large picture, but the bottom line is, if you know somebody in the organization, that helps, but that's probably how you got the inroad. But other people, it may be absolutely new for them. And it's like, keep an open mind. because your life entering that workforce is going to change. It is based on what's going on in the workforce today. From an agricultural perspective, unlike retail, and I did retail, 31 years ago, it's a little bit different. We're going out from a retail perspective, talking to our producers, providing products and services. Sometimes they come to us, but the majority of the time we're going to them. So it's a different way of doing business, because it's nice from a retail perspective. You can lock the door and we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. From a agricultural perspective, it's a 24/7, 365. When that customer, when that producer, when that farmer needs your assistance, needs help from the organization or you personally, we have to respond to it. And the challenge is management may respond or salespeople may respond, but it's everybody in the organization has skin in the game in satisfying that customer. So it's a little bit different environment than maybe even some of the jobs you've had. But bear in mind, when you take a look and get to understand the organization, you'll have a better understanding why that's an issue. Weekends, traditionally, we don't work weekends. However, like I said, if a situation arises, we need to be there for our customers, so we may react to that situation. So every company, no matter where you go, has a system. Some organizations run totally different than others. I know of an individual that her son just took a job 6 months ago, and strangely enough, don't make this a standard, but strangely enough, he can come and go whenever he wants. As long as he puts in the timeline and gets the job done, he can start at 7 in the morning or 10 in the morning. As long as he puts in his 40 hours worth of work and gets the job done. Some nights he works till 8, 9 o'clock. Other days he'll work till 2 or 3 because he wants to do something personal. That's the business that they're in. You get other organizations that are very structured. I need you from here to here for sure, because we book a lot of different activities in that timeline, which may be expanded as well. Because, and I'll share with you at the end of my presentation with the GROWMARK system, how diverse it is, but you can see how it just changes with a flip of a coin. So in your new phase going into a new organization, it's important for you to keep such an open mind and don't go in with a structured thought on how the organization works. Even during the interview, you're only going to get partial of that. I'm not going to steal Nicole's thunder, but in all fairness, keep an open mind when it comes to getting into the organization. It's a great opportunity. You may have to give up your daily routine. As I said, you may be starting earlier. We have drivers that start at 4 in the morning. And they work till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe, or noon. It's fine, but starting that early is more productive for them and the organization. We have other people that start at 6. We have other people that just work whenever they need to based on that. They work from home, but out in the field, they may not. No pun intended with the field. So from my perspective, what you can do the most in a new organization is to learn about the organization as much as you can. And I say that you can't dig in. When I say learn about the organization, maybe understanding what you're getting into from an organization's perspective, because the hours are totally different. And I have had interns in the past that have come to me and said, Mr. Hanna, after 6 months on the job or 3 months on the job, said, this is not what I thought it was going to be from a career perspective. But, and I was going to mention it later, when you work for a large organization, that's not a problem, because we soon identified that, if I would rather know early, it's not what you'd like to do. There are plenty of other opportunities for you in the organization. So that's not a problem. So, but you can't start your career without learning. So take every opportunity you can to learn about the organization, ask a lot of questions, get to know some of the staff member. I'm not saying socially you have to interact with people, but some of the things I want to mention a little bit later are that will make or break your career and make your comfort level go up if you take some of these things into consideration. So bottom line is, we're big on this. it's okay to make a mistake. If you're not making a mistake, you're not learning, you're not pressing the envelope. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want to over expose that, but in all fairness, making a mistake is not a problem. If you're not making a mistake, chances are you're not going the distance. So you're going to learn from other people's mistakes, not a problem. If you keep repeating, and that's a totally different issue. That's got nothing to do with making mistakes. Nothing wrong with stretching the envelope as much as you can, because it's important. So here's the other situation that from a work perspective, you're going to meet all kinds of people in all kinds of situations. I don't know what exposures you've had. You may be able to slide through some of them fine, but in all fairness, when you come into an organization, you're working with people that have been there one day like you, or 20 years, and you're going to get different variations of concern, control, thought process, and that's okay. But I always tell people, the people that are maybe critical of the organization after 20 years are comfortable in being critical with the company because they want the company to grow and change. So their demeanor may be a little different than somebody that's been there for 6 months or a year than somebody's been there for 20 years. And I, being in HR, I'm out in the field a lot when I can be, talking to employees. And it's important for them to understand that they have a skin in the game, because the presentations I was attending this morning, upper management is doing just that. We're looking at people, making sure they have the control and taking away not so much management, but the thing is, we can overmanage people. And I always tell this to the management in the system, and have been doing it for many years, is that we hire people to do the job. Let them do their job. They will do it. And if you really want to embrace that job and learn from it, yeah, you can. And that's where you want to go into an organization and have that thought process. You're gonna have ups and downs, you're gonna have frustrations, you're gonna have accomplishments. It's like I said, it's a roller coaster. And even when you've been with the organization for 31 years, as I have, it's still a roller coaster. Things change quickly, things change that you don't agree with sometimes. The organization takes a spin. You have to deal with those. So they may be frustrating for you. And I had a boss, I've been very lucky that I can say anything behind closed doors to him, but when we open the door and walk out, we're all on the same page. And that's so important for employees to understand that. They have to support the company. They don't have to agree with sometimes what they're doing, but they have to support the company and where they're going, and adapt and learn to accept other thought processes, not just necessarily the company, but people. That's one thing about opinions. Everybody has one. Doesn't make it right or wrong, but we have the ability to speak our mind and say what we want. The big thing getting onto into the workforce for me was honing your soft skills. We don't spend enough time, in me personally, with your communication, your time management, your networking, etc. Those soft skills are more often more important than the hard skills. And I say hard skills, things that you don't know about the organization, we can teach you, not a problem. Jim Spradlin, our CEO, whenever we have interns meetings in Bloomington, he would come in and talk, and he always says the same thing. You do not have to come from a farm to work for our organization, or be in agriculture to work for the organization, because we can teach you the hard skills as long as you got the soft skills, you got good communications. And I can tell you right now, and like I said, in career development, communications is the number one, I want to say problem, opportunity for both organizations and for employees, because it's so important. We brought in a speaker called Neil, whose name was Neil Thornton, and he actually did a presentation for our sales team. We had about 170 people in there, teaching them how to read people soft skills, not necessarily the words, but their demeanor, the way they look, the old adage with the arms folded and stuff like that. He went through it, and his background in training was so extensive that they've been training with the FBI on terrorist training to interpret what they're actually saying. So it's soft skills for me are so important. They will help you a lot. We'll train you on the hard skills. And in all fairness, we will train you on the soft skills as well. We will give you the tools. That's the one thing the organization does do. After being in the department for 16 years, we have a whole department dedicated to that. We have trainers that travel around North America and Canada doing training for us. So adaptability, probably the most important skill you have right now. What you've had is a different environment. You have to adapt to that. And I'll move on so I don't take up too much of this time. Mentoring is something I think is very important for any new employee. I hate selecting a mentor. You'll build a relationship. And if you're lucky enough, and I've been very lucky in my career to have two mentors, both were going up the scale rather quickly. One became vice president. There can be challenges with that because if it's a mentor, it's someone you can bounce things off of, talk to them. They don't take it to a business perspective. They take it from a personal relationship with you, and you can ask them any questions and go anywhere. And I've been very, very lucky that way. But part of that is you seek out that individual, you make a connection, and you have that person who can help you through a lot of your tough parts. The other thing is that from a mentoring perspective that I appreciate and a lot of people don't like is that I've been lucky enough to coach mentors with me that they will tell me exactly. And I've had them be very candid with me where other people maybe get mad. And the same thing with them. I can be very candid with them, even from an upper level management perspective. I can give them their opinion and they may not like it, but I can give it to them and they don't hold it personally. And that's that mentoring is getting to know somebody so you can exchange ideas without getting mad at somebody and walking away and going, they don't like me. That's not the intent. So what businesses are looking for? Well, we're looking for people. We're looking for people that we need, not that we want. And that's a strange, and I've been saying this for many, many years now, is that we tend to sometimes want to hire people that will make us feel more comfortable. And our organization is getting into the mantra that we're going to hire people that we need in the industry that's going to grow the industry, not just do what we've been doing. That's when you hire people that you want that's just going to replicate what we're doing. We need people that are going to think outside the box. And we have an intern this summer that come up with some of the ideas for the company that just blew me away. No one's seen them coming. She did it on her own. She took it to her boss. He was blown away. He shared it with me. I thought, you know what, that's what we need. And that's what organizations are looking for, even if they don't articulate it like that. That's what they're looking for. So I'm going to really quickly go through GROWMARK. It's a GROWMARK system. Been around for a long time. In the province, that's where my geography is, all of the province. We leave out Thunder Bay. It's the one that's way up at the top, but you can't see it on the map. But it's mostly Southern Ontario with all the locations, and you'll have access to this presentation to take a look at it. Basically, you can see what it says there. 3.2 millions of crop nutrients. From an agronomy perspective, we're huge. From an energy perspective, again, in Ontario, this is for the entire system. It's a very large organization. You take a look at how many members we have, how many grain members we have. We're the fourth largest agricultural cooperative in North America, which is kudos to the organization. $7.8 billion in sales revenue, and we're located across North America. Ontario is the only location we have facilities in at this particular point, but we deal with the majority of the U.S. states as well. So how many customers? Plus 375,000 is our customers that deal with us directly. But we have hiring protocols. We have an Exploring Ag program that I administer here in Ontario. It's for students in their first or second year of a 2-year program, and they can go on board with any of the GROWMARK. We have 2 GROWMARK owned members. That's UPI and FS Partners. The others are totally independent. I work with them to facilitate getting the interns into their organization. So enough about that one. We do have some photos of it. The other internship we have is the GROWMARK internship program. The first one, Exploring Ag, was giving students an opportunity to learn more about the industry and get exposure that where they didn't have it before. They would have one trip to the US, all company paid, mind you, to our office in Bloomington, Illinois. We fly down, you have a presentations that day about the organization, just to get the organization. And that would be it for that. The GROWMARK internship program is a little more in depth. They have to come up with a project on how it's going to benefit the company they're working for. It's for the 12 weeks, but most students work a lot longer than that, especially in Canada. We have a longer summer season when it comes to university students. So basically, there are 3 trips on that one where we go down to the States. I call it orientation, assimilation, and presentation. And the last one, you have to do a presentation to the CEO staff and other members of the management team for the organization, plus other interns that would be there. Because of COVID this year, this is our 2nd year, we've had to do them virtually. But the interns did an excellent job virtually, and that's basically how the program works. But it's really is unbelievable exposure. And I run through those last slides quickly, Katie, just so that we save our time for questions.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much, Barry. I really enjoyed hearing your section of the presentation and some of my takeaways. I really enjoyed that piece about soft skills and how important those are and how we can learn a lot of those hard skills. That's one of those things we often forget, but that's a great reminder. And I also liked your piece about looking for people that need people in your industry and not just the want. And I think that's a good reminder for all of us to share our ideas. And even if they do seem a little different than what the organization is going for, those organizations want to hear your opinion. And those outside the box ideas can really help the organization grow, but also our industry. So
Very much
great
so.
thoughts from you, Barry. And I'm sure there will be some questions for you afterwards. So Barry, I'll ask you to turn off your screen, or Cody, maybe you could, and then Nicole can share hers. Perfect. Thank you. So next up is Nicole from Nutrient. So Nicole, I'll let you kind of reintroduce yourself to the group and you can take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you, Barry, for that great presentation. I've learned a lot about GROWMARK, and I was looking your company up online. I love to hear the success of a wonderfully successful co-op. That's really great. Can we get some confirmation that you can see my screen? You should see the Emerging Talent Program. Awesome. I see a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So my name is Nicole Fapard. I'm the Emerging Talent Program Manager for Nutrient, and we are a global company, a global agriculture company who also is involved with such resources such as potash as well as nitrogen phosphate. And the retail business is one of our largest and primarily what I'm going to focus on today, but please, if you have any other questions about other parts of our business, I'll certainly introduce those business units here in this presentation. Feel free to ask those questions. We're the largest crop nutrient company worldwide, and we play a critical role in helping growers. You know, our foundational philosophy is around customer service and growing the world from the ground up. It's especially around the global increase of food production, and sustainability is a big factor for us. Our strategic business units, as I mentioned, include potash, nitrogen, phosphate, and retail. We also have a corporate element attached to the business, of course, and kind of describe, you know, Nutrient by the numbers here. We are the largest potash producer in the world, and the 2nd largest North American phosphate producer, and the 3rd largest global nitrogen producer. We have a lot of really exciting sustainability initiatives coming up with our carbon footprint and ammonia to be used as fuel. It's very, very exciting for us. We're very interested in innovation and technology and sustainability. We have 2,000 retail locations across North America, Australia, and South America, and of course 22,000 global employees, 3,400 crop advisors and agronomists, which are the people who are selling and moving our business, and 500,000 farmers are served. So like I said, that customer service piece is part of the foundation of our business. This is a a description of where our locations are in North America, and we'll be talking primarily about opportunities in North America today. In green, you can see where our retail locations are. You can also see the blue is our nitrogen sites, phosphate sites are in brown, and there's lots of opportunities for potash, as well as how our distribution is represented as well. You can also see Trinidad and Tobago as part of our business. It's exciting to see this sort of global integration into a company. We're going to spend some time talking about retail today, especially with the Emerging Talent Program, as our first iteration of the Emerging Talent Program will be focused on this business unit. Some of the positions that are available and not limited to this list at our retail branch locations include management positions, such as our branch manager, who would be overall in charge of facilities like this one, operations managers, sales, of course, crop consultants providing advice and knowledge into the type of crop planning services that we have. And then there's administrative availability. And then our hourly and seasonal work in local delivery driver, custom applicators, and warehouse specialists. We can't do our jobs and move our product without these really important and pivotal pieces. And so we're constantly looking for employees in this sector. We are a purpose-driven culture, and this is something that I think defines us and separates us from a lot of companies, is that we have some very strong core values in safety and integrity. We believe that if we cannot do it safely, then we should not be doing it at all. And we really believe in putting our money where our mouths are and, doing what we say, and that integrity piece and safety piece flows through like a ribbon through every move we make. Our engagement principles include inclusion, performance, community, and innovation. Inclusion and equity, diversity, and inclusion is something that we take very, very seriously and is part of our initiatives all over our branding and all over our hiring processes, but no more so than in our Emerging Talent Program, which is, I'll talk about how diversity fits into that. So here I am. I'll say a few words about myself. So I didn't come from an agriculture background. I started in the military and since the age of 17, and was a clerk to begin with, became a marine engineer, and something I knew nothing about, and ended up in leadership positions. I understand how, there can be a mountain of learning ahead of someone who has no background, in an organization, but ends up moving up based on opportunity. And I take this very seriously and put that into my work as a recruiter for the Canadian Navy, and then as a recruiter for Nutrien. I had one of those moments where I was looking for a second career and put my resume out, the first resume I'd written since I was 17. So it's a daunting task, and was pleased to find out 6 months later that Nutrien called me out of the ether. So the message on that I just want to offer the people in this room is that set your sights on open doors, set your sights on opportunities that maybe you wouldn't normally go for. And I've learned a lot about the agriculture business since my integration into this company, and there's no ceiling in my opinion. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Please look for my name, Nicole Fapard. I'd be happy to speak with you one-on-one if we get that opportunity. So what is the Emerging Talent Program? So it is designed to build a diverse and effective talent pool poised for accelerated development within our company. We are focusing on the retail business unit to begin with, but we are looking to scaffold this into other business units. And the opportunity here is to essentially provide the tools that a person would need to be successful in management and leadership in this company. We are looking primarily for new graduates. However, we're also looking for folks who might already be in the industry or have an interest. This is about building the Nutrien of tomorrow. This is not about, this is the way we've always done things, and we're interested in that movement forward. So I mentioned that we're looking for new college and university grads. We're also looking for folks who are shining stars in our internship program, and we do have internship and summer opportunities every single year, so please keep an eye on that. We also have relationships with organizations like 4-H in Canada, which is a great opportunity for youth to be involved in the agriculture industry before they even know what it's about. It's a great learning and leadership and community-based organization. And then, of course, there's opportunity for our internal employees, whether they be seasonal, hourly, or salaried employees, to jump in on this program. So what does the program look like? So what we did is we identified, if you recall those list of employee opportunities in our retail business sector, we identified what are those middle management roles that we want to have people, build their toolbox for to be successful in those roles. And so we identified areas like branch manager, marketing manager, sales area manager, and administrative manager. And then we worked back from there about what are the stepping stone roles that we could kind of get people prepared for so that they'd be on their way to career development. And so we identified, sort of two categories, one in sales and then one in operations logistics. And you can see that operations manager, purchasing coordinator, administrative coordinator, and warehouse manager are examples of those logistics operations roles. And then crop consultant and sales agronomy would be that sales side of things. We've agreed that no matter what employment opportunity you have in the retail business unit leads to opportunity in middle management roles. And that speaks to our commitment to career development as well as professional development in that leadership and management space. So what is the Emerging Talent Program? So we're looking especially for an opportunity for diversity, to inject more diversity, bring more people to the table from a diversity standpoint, because we really believe that to have a diverse setting at the table means that we have better ideas, we have more innovation, we have more teamwork, more creativity. And so we want to make sure that people understand that agriculture is for everyone. And so those entry points that I had mentioned lead into a rotational program. And in each rotation, there is some relocation involved. However, the skills that a person would be learning in each rotation will formulate their success in the future. So part of the first rotation, for example, would be in finance, experience in marketing, or digital and technological innovation, and supply chain. Then there's a 12 to 18 month rotation in an actual branch field environment where the participants will enjoy a full operations and sales cycle, meaning this is on the job training about exactly what the business does, how to interact with our clients, and familiarization with all of our product and processes. This is an opportunity also to identify folks who are talented at sales and put them into the third rotation of a field sales regimen and training program. And for those who are more interested in that administrative and logistics operations side, that we will put them into some hands-on training in that area so that they can bolster their skills for their employment opportunity in the future. So part of my recruiting experience had me asking a lot of questions about why people change careers in the first place. And some of you in this room might also be, in this place. I was in this place. There are many, many times in my 20-year career with the military where I thought, is this what I want to do? What a wonderful career and an exciting career I've had, but is it reaching my potential? Do I have all the opportunities that I'm actually looking for? And so, to begin with, we see that folks will change a career when it's their first career opportunity. And they think, they ask those questions. Is this really what I thought it was going to be? Do I want more? Some folks, they want a new challenge. Some folks, let's not deny it, financial support and expectation is a big driver for folks. And of course, there's recognition, looking for advancement opportunities. Is there upward mobility opportunities in your current position? Less stress. And I know that a lot of folks globally are testing the idea of a 4-day work week. That's an amazing thing that we're talking about, not necessarily at Nutrien, but generally globally, the fact that people are considering how stress affects them in their lives. Flexibility is part of that. And then of course, there's some folks who are just looking for a change because they're experiencing burnout. Where can you find careers with Nutrien? You can find them at nutrien.com/careers. This page is a little bit of a nebulous place for some folks who aren't used to searching information. And so I wanted to show you an example of how to navigate this page. So this is the page that you would see at nutrien.com/careers. And then there's a tab here where there's career opportunities. And here you'll be able to select a category of type of jobs that you'd be looking for, where the locations are, and you can even find a specific job title if you want. So if you're looking for something in agronomy sales, you could put it in the search tab and then find everything in Nutrien that follows that title. When it comes to resumes, and the recruiters at Nutrien review every resume that they receive. It's not a robot. It's not automated. There are no algorithms. We review every resume we receive for a position. And we had somebody at a career fair say, there's thousands of resumes. You can't possibly be looking at all of them. And the answer is we are looking at all of them. So we're committed to looking for the best talent. And the best thing that you can do is make sure that your resume stands out. So here are a few tips. One, choose really basic font. Don't try to be fancy. Make everything really nice and clear. And here's some examples. Arial, Times New Roman, you're looking at 10 or 12 point font. Make sure it's black ink. You don't need to pretty it up with images or try to make it colorful. Nice and straightforward is the easiest for us to read. The layout is really important. We're looking at things at a glance and we're looking for particular words and phrases. So bullets are really easy. Make sure that you use just plain language. Don't try to bold or capitalize anything that isn't necessary. Consider this like social media, that capitalizing items is like yelling. So we'll find what's important in your by looking at your bullets, and just make sure that you're paying attention to the most important and impactful information. Simple and consistent is key. I really want to emphasize this. Don't try to get fancy. Often we'll see braggadocious resumes that are 5 pages long. My experience in the military, we see folks who have a difficulty translating their experience onto the page. Make sure that you seek out some resume support services. I know that there's a lot of resources available for free and templates available and examples available online to help you. Make sure that you keep it nice and simple and that it's actually related, your resume is related to the job description that you're looking at. Don't use paragraphs or acronyms on your resume. Paragraphs, if you're going to have, a little description of your experience, make sure it's 1 or 2 words long. Keep it nice and short, or 1 or 2 sentences long, excuse me. Make sure it's nice and short, and then get some bullet points. Make sure that in those bullet points, when you're describing your experience, that it's experience that's related to the job and provides examples of how you did the job. It's one thing to say that you're an experienced leader. Tell me how. What have you done? Provide experience examples to say, this is who I am and this is what I've done. Make it nice and easy for us to read. When we're looking at format, you want to talk about your experience first. What experience do you have that's related to the job? Your education second. Your activities and community service are important. However, they're not the primary focus here. Also, if you're a student or a newly graduated person and you're fresh to the workforce, note that your voluntary experience is really important, however, not more important than your work experience. Make sure that you have work experience in some case represented on your resume. And if you're looking at your resume and your experience right now and you're delinquent in that work experience, find something that you can do, to be it an hourly job, especially if you can perform at a management or leadership kind of level, and leadership takes all shapes. You don't have to be the one in charge to be a leader. Make sure that you have some work experience on your resume. So that is my presentation today. Basically, what I want to leave you with is that agriculture really is for everyone. Nutrien is a global company and we're hiring all the time and we're hiring everywhere. I would recommend that you not shut the door based on relocation, and especially given your age and experience, whatever that is. Certainly there are values that keep people home, but I say take your advantage of any opportunity that shows its face or is buzzing around your door. There's lots in front of you, and you have the potential, and that's what we're looking for. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Nicole. That was great. Lots of great nuggets of information there. I'm sure any of those job seekers today probably really love those resume tips from somebody that's actually looking at resumes. So that was some great feedback. And I'm sure some of them might be making some changes and adjustments based on your expertise. The other thing that I really enjoyed hearing about was setting your sights on open doors. I feel like that's a really great message, that there's no limits, no ceiling, and kind of dreaming big in terms of opportunities and what the future holds. And it's really great how, as an organization, you guys have really seemed to embody that and encompass that in your emerging talent program, and how you help people move up through the ranks and get an experience in some of those leadership capacities. So kudos to you guys for developing a program like that. It seems like it's a great way to develop those leaders and I mean, as an industry, it's great to be developing leaders that can help the whole industry to grow and change and evolve. So
Thank you.
the next section here, Barry, if you'd also like to turn on your camera and your mic, and then we'll get into some questions. So we've had some questions come in. Again, a reminder, if you do have any questions, please feel free to email us at feedyourfuture@agcareers.com. You can email us right now to ask those questions if you haven't yet, or afterwards, I'm happy to connect you with either of our presenters if you are more comfortable asking a question after the fact. So my first question is going to be geared towards Nicole. Do you have any advice specific to others from a non-ag background transitioning from the military into a role in an industry or a specific sector?
Yes, I would say agriculture is certainly a community-based organization, and that is very similar to the military. As we know, I'll say in my experience within the Naval Reserve, when I was in that group, there was only 4,400 of us. And so you get to know people pretty quick. And the first question that folks ask is, hey, do you know so-and-so? And so I think that agriculture is similar. And actually, I find at networking events and things like that, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, people are similar. Agriculture, though, is unique in that it does have more of a family feel around it because we have the same industry, whether it's in poultry, dairy, wheat, alfalfa, corn, nuts in California, not the people, but the the food. It doesn't matter. It's all relatable. We have the same language. When it comes to describing your experience in another industry or specifically the military, which it can be sometimes siloed because it's so specific, the language is important. And so I would recommend writing a list, and this is what I did. I wrote a list of sort of like in the evaluation system that we have in HR in the military, we can derive some attributes, some values that we already have in our evaluation system. Write that down and then describe in plain language how that relates to the job that you, one, want, regardless of what industry it's in. And secondly, the job description that and the research that you've done in the company that you're pursuing. What are the values? And so Nutrien, for example, has our values and our purpose-driven language there. Does my experience in the military relate to that, and how? And again, keeping your experience as specific, especially in the leadership aspect. I will tell you that any industry is looking for leaders. Can you describe how you have been a leader in your industry and in your experience? Because a lot of times folks will look at that more than they'll look at, I was on a course on how to build widgets, if you understand my meaning. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Barry, my next question is for you. So you've been in the world of recruiting in the ag sector here in Ontario for a while, and it's shifted, right? With our kind of last 2 years, so much more has gone virtual. I know we're hosting many virtual events, and I guess I'm curious, as somebody that's in that hiring role, that's trying to meet people and hire the right people within your organization, how can somebody try and stand out within that virtual platform? I know you probably had your great system of I go to the university and I talk to the student and they stood out to me. But now that it's virtual, what are you finding is making an impact and making a difference?
Basically, it gets right back to what Nicole was saying about her resume, is because it's virtual, is you don't have all the time and you can't socialize. It becomes very business as much as it's personal. And you want to talk about what your experience, what your aspirations are, if you have any specific geographies you want to work in, but get to the points if you want, because it's not like standing in a job fair with a soft drink in your hand talking to students, which I miss terribly. But in all fairness, you want to get to the point because we got to get to the next individual as well. So we don't want to hurry it, but we want to hear the most important things from you. Just like what Nicole was saying, that's what you should be talking about on your resume. You're printing it. When you're on virtually with us, you're going to articulate those conversations. Would you agree, Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate what Barry said previously about, and not to make anyone nervous, but the trouble with first impressions is that you only get one. I think when it comes to, and seek this out for your own professional development, when it comes to the advice that successful people in not just business but industry, what they say is that you embody the image that you want to project, and that's almost like dressing for the job that you want, right? So yeah, personal brand is also part of that, something I personally struggle with as well, because you want to keep things authentic, and let's not deviate from that. Employers do want authentic people, so be yourself, but make sure you're prepared, you're poised, and yeah, it's okay to be vulnerable as well and ask questions. You should ask questions.
Awesome. And on that same train of thought, so that resume is a great presentation tool. What about that cover letter? How important is that to you? Is that something you as an organization, and I know different organizations sometimes feel differently about cover letters, but where are you guys on that? And should we be really trying to sell ourselves within those cover letters, or are you really just looking in at that resume?
Well, I guess for me, really quickly, the cover letter, for me, is where your passion is, where you want to go. So it points me in a narrower direction where you'd like to be. And, I really like working with people. I have good interaction skills, and that's where I'd like to go, as opposed to, and you know what, you've seen them all, as I have, Nicole, but in all fairness, is, I just wanted to introduce myself. Your resume says that, and I'm looking to find employment in your organization. Okay, thank you very much. Right. But in all fairness, I read the cover letter first, then I go to the resume. I always have. So yeah, and I like them. It narrows it down. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'll get it off your resume. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that a cover letter is valuable. Is it critical? No. However, it is a statement of intent, meaning that it proves to me that although there's many jobs and you have a resume, and when you're just, believe me, I know what it's like to, I just need a job. Okay. Why did you want this job? Because it has money. I get it. Like, we all understand that. However, if you're serious about a position and upward mobility, and you see value in yourself, the cover letter is an opportunity for you to project that. Also, to show what you know about the company. Keep it short, make it intentional, and basically, why are you applying for this job? If you want a job and you want to be valuable, this is your opportunity to say why you're valuable.
Awesome. Great feedback from both of you. So my next question is more kind of, once you're looking at that resume, there's lots of talk about how often and how many different career opportunities we will explore and how often we might change jobs within our career. When you're looking at a resume, how important is that to you? What kind of looks better? Are you looking for somebody that stayed at that one job for 3 years, or are you looking more at that candidate that has many different experiences, but maybe 3 jobs in 3 years? And how do you balance that when you're trying to evaluate a candidate?
Go ahead, Nicole.
Thanks, Barry. So this is, so glad you asked this question. So there's a couple of ways to look at it. And I think that there's got to be empathy from the recruiter. But like I said, we see thousands of resumes. So the question always is, what's the risk in considering one resume over another? The reality for folks, and maybe folks in this room, is you got to pay your bills. And sometimes especially when you're starting out, we know that, I think it's something, Indeed did a study that it's something like between 17 and 25 folks will have 6 different jobs, right? And so on a resume, that looks like a lot, right? What I want to distinguish on a resume is whether the person is going from job to job because they're having trouble holding that job. Is that person going from job to job because they are, a bit flippant about their experience, meaning that they're not anchored and they're just trying things out, or is there a monetary situation here where they're in an industry where they're a contractor and their contractor piece ends, so there's some realities there that if you can tell that story in your resume about what you were doing and what your experience was there, that's where those bullet points really make a difference. My suggestion to folks is don't stay in a job because it's a toxic environment only to beef up your resume. That doesn't make any sense at all, and says something about you as well, right? Some people are trapped in situations like that, and that's something to consider. And again, we have to be empathetic. However, having again, this talks about personal growth, personal development, and sometimes I appreciate people don't have time for that. I get it. I've been there. But if we're looking for folks who want to contribute and see value in themselves, then make sure that your experience reflects that. When you're seeking for job opportunities, whether it's Burger King, McDonald's, Walmart, or at, I don't know, Deloitte, it doesn't matter what your experience is, but that you are learning from that experience. You can show that you really care about your experience. We're looking for folks who take their roles seriously. And so whether that's 5 jobs, 3 jobs, or 1 job, make sure that you're explaining that on your resume.
Great answer. Barry?
Yeah, it's good points, Nicole. The bottom line is for me, I don't care how long you've been with an organization, because sometimes you can dive into it too deep. The bottom line is it didn't work and you've moved on. I don't have a problem with that, because we'll have that discussion. For me, I take a look at what they've had exposure to. And the more exposure you've had, the more opportunity you have. And from a GROWMARK perspective, we are so diverse. I mean, if you want a job, you want to be in marketing, you want to be in accounting, you want to be administration, you want to be in sales, you want to be a truck driver, you want to be a general worker. I mean, we've got it all. So those people with that wide range of 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, maybe they haven't found their niche yet. We've got it here somewhere. Just come on board, let's talk about it, and we'll get going. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great. So if there's any other questions that come in, I will send them off to you. I do want to be conscious of everybody's time commitments today, and I will kind of wrap things up. But I really want to thank you both for your time today. You provided lots of nuggets of information that'll be great takeaways. Your passion and enthusiasm for your roles within your organization speaks to the kind of company culture that must exist within GROWMARK and Nutrien. It seems like you guys have so many opportunities at your organizations for people in all types of roles, and that's really exciting to see so many opportunities available and how well you really bring on those new team members. So thank you for sharing with us today. And I encourage everybody to send questions, like I said, if you have any, and also be sure to check out some of our upcoming Feed Your Future virtual career fairs and other webinars that are coming up as well. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn to see the information about those events and registration information. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll see you at more of our events soon. Thank you so much for your time today, Barry and Nicole, and for all of you watching.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.